Hi, my name is Brian. I'm a technician here at Yarbrough Music. Today we're going to be discussing the differences between tube amplifiers and solid state amplifiers. I'd also like to show you a few troubleshooting tips that will help you out at your next gig or just jamming at the house, and a couple of accessories that are good to have around when these problems do arise. First, let's talk about tube amps versus solid state amps. The major difference is in the way the signal gets amplified through the amp. Tube amps use tubes, also known as valves, to warm and amplify the incoming signal, whereas solid state uses devices called ICs with transistors to get the same effect. Voltages in a tube amp are very high. They run anywhere between 200 and 600 volts, whereas in the transistors they're much less voltage, usually anywhere between 25 and 125 volts. Both items do the same thing. You're in tube amps, the preamp tube here boosts the small input signal coming in, warms it up, and sends it to the next stage in the gain cycle. With solid state, the ICs do the same thing without the warmth. They amplify the signal and get it up to a good level so that when it gets to the power amp section that it can amplify it well. Once it goes through those stages, it gets to, in tube amps, gets to your power tubes. Your power tubes, usually 6L6s, 6V6s, EL34s, use very high voltage to amplify your signal to get up to your output wattage. This can be as low as 15 watts all the way up into the 200, 300, and 400 watts. The transistors, of course, do the same thing. They're used in pairs usually, and amplify the signal and have a lot less heat. Also are usually a lot lighter than tube amps due to the fact that they don't have to have as much voltage. Now that you know a little bit about tubes and transistors, let's do a little troubleshooting. Let's just say you're at a gig and you're getting a cutting in, cutting out problem with your amp. The first thing to do, of course, is check your input. The easiest way is just to gently rock it back and forth. If it's cutting in and out there, you know your problem is at the input stage. That can be good. That's probably just a solder joint and a very inexpensive repair. Now, if this is a tube amp that you have and have this problem, definitely take it to a qualified service technician. There are very dangerous voltages inside, and you do want to be careful if you are in there. The next step would be to go and pull your output of your guitar and go into the effects return. Now, this may be marked as power amp in, effect return, or just simply return. Go into it and then play your guitar. Now, your level will be a lot lower, but if it's not cutting in and out at that point, or you're getting good solid signal, then you know that the problem is probably in the preamp area. The effects return jack actually is the midway point between your preamp section and your power amp section. So going in here, you're basically plugging straight into the power amp. And again, if it's not cutting in and out, gently wiggle, and if it doesn't, then you're in good shape. Next, I want to talk about a couple of things you should have at a gig that are very, very helpful. Number one is a known good spare cable. Cables are known to go out fairly easily, and it's good to have a backup. Also, if you have a head cabinet combo you might want to also have an extra known good speaker cable. Another good thing to have at a gig is a cable tester. Cable testers are fairly inexpensive and usually cover all of the major types of connectors, MIDI, RCA, XLR, quarter inch. Another good thing to have at a gig would also be patch cables and extra batteries if you're using a pedal board or multiple pedals. Always remember these tips and they'll get you pretty far. But if you do feel like you are getting in over your head on an amp repair or a speaker issue, please bring it into a qualified service technician.